Hi, Bongiwe. It's been a hectic last hour for law enforcement officials pulling over cars to perhaps just look for any other, whether there would be any parts of the cars which may be breaking rules in some way or form. So looking at license discs, looking to see if any alcohol is in vehicles. We also saw over the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, people have been pulled over for perhaps just finding out why they happen to be why they happen to be traveling and still being on the roads beyond the curfew. Earlier on, we saw a car being pulled over for having security lights, but it was obviously whether to just see whether it was illegal police lights or illegal law enforcement lights. Joining us to perhaps give us a bit more insight into exactly what has been taking place over the last few hours and over the last 24 hours is the mayoral spokesperson, Himli Mandlela Ndamase. Himli Mandlela, can you just take us through perhaps just take us through a wrap over the last 24 hours and this evening?
Well, as the city, since the president pronounced the new revised regulations and increasing the country to level 3, extending the curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the mornings, as the city of Johannesburg, we have also been declared a hotspot, and as the responsible government that is currently in power in Johannesburg, it has been a decision directed by the mayoral committee and the government of local unity that our law enforcement officers, including all our essential services workers, must be out. They must be in our communities. One, we must create awareness for our communities to be able to abide by the regulations. But two, we must also enforce a zero-tolerance approach to those who deliberately undermine and choose not to abide by what the regulations and the new restrictions state for our city. So as you see us, we have had operations starting yesterday. We are continuing today and we'll be going on to tomorrow, which is New Year's Eve. And yesterday alone, we visited over 302 places of entertainment. We found over 94 of those were open and operating. We have confiscated alcohol. We have issued fines. We have effected over 49 arrests. So these particular operations are quite critical for us because we are really trying to send a message to all our communities that we must keep safe, we must be responsible, and we must begin to realize that COVID-19 is a bigger pandemic than we would have ever imagined before, and that our behavior is the sole cure that will assist us to be able to save our communities and our city.
Mandlela, could you maybe just take us through some of the preparations that the city is taking? We know that schools will be reopening at the end of next month, but we also understand the influx back into the province over the next 2 weeks. What preparations are like that? We saw the 17,000 case increase just nationwide today alone.
Well, the city of Johannesburg is obviously a very important city to our country. We are the economic hub of the country. We do know that we have over 5.5 million residents who are currently residing within the city, many of whom during this particular period have either traveled out of the city into other provinces, going home, and should be returning in January back to their places of employment and their places of business. So there is huge concern. As the city, we are putting in place measures to ensure that, working with the health authorities in the province and national, we are able to cater for whatever may be a third upsurge in the number of infections that may be coming back into our city over the next month. But what we are hoping is that for those who are in the city currently and those who may be visiting, it is important for us to curb super spreader events. It's important for us to make sure that there is compliance with the regulations. We have also issued a warning around New Year's Eve parties and fireworks, etc. And we have really implored everyone to take seriously the message by the president. Let's rather switch on a candlelight in honor and in solidarity with those who have fallen during this particular pandemic of COVID-19 and to those families who have lost. And as a city, we have had a death rate that's now nearing 2,000 people since the pandemic started. So it is quite a devastating pandemic, and we are quite concerned, and we will do all in our power to ensure that we are able to protect the residents and visitors of the city whilst also protecting our economy.
Mandlela, thank you very much. And there you have it, Bongiwe. Mandlela and Ndamase joining us from the city of Johannesburg, just giving us an update of what has taken over the last 24 hours and operations this evening. I'm sure you saw during the interview behind me, people were being pulled over for being on the roads past the 9 p.m. curfew. Bongiwe.